Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder. Today, I got a banger for you. This is by far the best spreadsheet presentation I've put together when it comes to pulling data. Today, we're going to look at the S2 Plus kingdoms, which is 1 through 90, minus 11 through 21, that are going into S2 Plus. Remember, the first group that went into S2 Plus is 155 through 173. These next kingdoms are being divvied up that you can see here into 9 groups. Now, the kingdom, the actual division name may not be this. I'm going off of this, that they may use this as a naming convention because they already used SS2-2001 for the 155 through 173 group. However, will these kingdoms specifically be in these numbers? We'll have to wait to find out. But I just put this here as an example. So, I want to point out, I'm going to give you guys access to the spreadsheet, which is this one that we're going to go to now. And I'm going to show you guys, we got 5 tabs here that we're going to look at, which is personal power, alliances, top kingdoms, because I was actually able to pull some unique data today, which is brand new data that no one has seen before yet. And then we have the KvK Alliance, which is for names of alliances that are in particular groups. And then we have our big Shibuya-boo, which is the KvK Power. That's the one we're going to save for last because I put together, the joy and love of my life. However, a few things I have to point out. One, if you want to get access to this spreadsheet, it's going to be made public. You can get access by joining the Discord. You just have to click on, I'm hanging on general chat here. But if you could join the Discord, there's a link to it in the pinned comment description down below. You'll load up. You'll see reaction rolls. You go here. You're going to select the Call of Dragons 1, which is there. It'll pop you into this section. You'll go to COD Data Stats, and I have a new folder I just added, which is my KvK Group Data folder that I'm giving everyone access to for all of the KvK group data stats that I've put together for the previews. In addition, if you're curious and you want to know how you can support, because I know I've been getting some people that have asked, right, you just go on here to the sub-donate channel. All right, now, with that out of the way, we're going to show you off, like I said, these in order. I'm going to go through these pretty quick. I'm not going to read all of these off. I'm just going to kind of go through these, not taking too long, let's just say. So, let's start it up and get to the great stuff at the very end. That was a mouthful. Here we go. So we have 100, and some of these disclaimers I'll give you as we get into each sheet. But the data here for player power, I only pulled data for players that were 100 million plus. Have to give an honorable mention shout out because I was hanging out with the group last night in some VCs with some of the TFS guys. SOD was at 99.7877 million, so it was very close. I think he was the closest person to 100 mil, but let's go ahead and continue. We got 139 people over 100 mil. And we're just going to work our way up. Again, like I said, we're not going to take too long on these because I imagine most of you will probably pause if you want to take a look here and there. And then we'll just kind of work our way up. So you got right here, first threshold, 85 players over 110 million. And I also put in the server that they're from. And I'll show you that in a sec on how we did that. Then we get to 120 million plus, which is 54 players that are 120 mil plus. Oops, hang on, where was I? I'll just go to 120. We'll leave it here. We got 41 players at 130 million plus. You got 31 players at 140 million plus. And then we got, look at that, 27 players at 150 million plus. And then we get to the top. Now, this is data that was taken across, I want to say, the past 16 to 18 hours from now. So this would have been yesterday at around, I think reset is, so this would have been maybe like 21, 22 UTC is when I started yesterday. And then I finished this morning at around 1 p.m. Eastern time. So that would have been, I think, around 17, 18 UTC, just to give you the window of range for the data that was collected. And bear in mind, this doesn't obviously go over all the kingdoms, but this just shows you kind of where the numbers are for these kingdoms, these 78 to 79 kingdoms going into these groups for S2+. So you can see here, again, you got 10 players above 200 mil. You got 2 players above 250, Southern Light and Fister rounding out the top. Let's go to alliances. I ended up doing a lot more this time than I've ever done. And for those of you that have seen me do these KvK group previews before, you know I usually only do 100. I went all out for this, right? Now, not everything, because I did have to put a threshold like on the top players. On the alliances, I did the same thing. You had to be 1 billion power or higher to make the list. And that's because the margin for alliances around 1 billion power and lower are typically what some would label as academies or farms, even though I'm sure there's some active regular alliances mixed in there. The variance was just too much. So I put a threshold on it just so you know what you're looking at. So we had 176 alliances at 1 billion power or more. Let's work our way up. I also added not only the kingdom they're from. How I figured that out was we looked at, I'll give you an example here. I went in game, we click on an alliance, I click on members, I click on here, and I can see the home kingdom that they're from. So I would look at where the home kingdom the leader's from, along with multiple officers, if not all the officers, if needed. If there was variance, like if there was 1 or 2 people from different kingdoms, I would go off the majority. So there could be a little margin of error here. So as when I say kind of take some things with grains of salt. Okay, let's work our way up. I'm at 153. Here we go. So you can see here, right, 1.5 billion, 139 alliances at 1.5 billion. We'll go to 129 here. And then you got 110 alliances at 2 billion or more. 105. You can see the alliances here, 2.5 billion, 91 at 2.5 billion or more. We'll go to 81. Then you got 78 alliances at 3 billion or more, 66 alliances at 3.5 billion or more. You got 54 alliances at 4 billion or more, and then at 5 billion, 41 alliances at 5 billion or more. And then at 6 billion or more, you have 28 alliances, and then we'll show you the rest here. So 12 alliances at 7 billion or more, 6 alliances at 8 billion or more, with TFS, EIS, and GG83. Rounding out the top 3, and again, you could see kingdom they're from along with members. Now let's get to the top kingdoms. So the top kingdoms here, let me bear in mind, the reason why some of these kingdoms, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 26, 16, 86, are 0 is because at the time of when I pulled the data, they did not have an alliance that was at 1 billion power or more, right? That's the only reason why they weren't factored in here, because again, I just want to point out it takes a lot of time to pull data. And again, I don't do this full time yet. My hope is that I can eventually get there. One of the reasons why I had mentioned that kind of sub-tip donate area that you can go to on the Discord that takes you to all my stuff. However, again, let's continue. Top servers, and then you can also see the alliances here. So to give you an example, here you see total power for the kingdoms, and then we have a ranking. You also can see if here is 1.66 billion, right? That goes to O out, rest and punch, and then the greater than sign indicates number 2. That's number 2, right? So it kind of goes left to right. Let's work our way up. We were at 56 there. We'll go here. So you can see some of the alliance, some of the kingdoms here, right, where we have total power, and then we have the number 1 alliance, number 2 alliance, number 3 alliance, and then we have it here. So if you want to see the names off. And then we're at 32. Let's work our way up a bit more. You can see here, right, 34 kingdoms at 8 billion or more. You got 26 kingdoms at 10 billion or more, and then we'll show you the top end here, where you have at 12 billion or more, 17 kingdoms, 13 at 13 billion or more, 9 kingdoms at 14 billion, 6 kingdoms at 15 billion or more. And bear in mind, this is with that threshold, right? So it's not looking at everything, because that would take an insane amount of time. This is one of the reasons why I would really love for them to add home kingdom leaderboards into the game, because it's just difficult. It just takes time, right? I love doing this. Don't get me wrong. I will continue to do this, but it is something I always advocate for, and them adding home kingdom leaderboards. But you can see here, rounding at the top, you got 43 at 20, a little over 20 billion power. 42 is number 2, 90, 88, 87, 81. Right, so you can kind of see where those are. Even 1 and 4 are still up there, right? 1 with TATM that are there. 4, I can't remember where 4 is. That's Weep. Yeah, so that was used to be GRZ with Uriel running that. And a few others, right? So nice to see that you still got some OG, beta kingdoms that are in there, especially with like 30 and a few of the others, right, that are at 31 and below, right? So 31, 30, 32 was global release. And now we get into the KvK Alliance tab. Now we're getting close to the good stuff. This is just a quick snapshot if you want to be able to see the alliances that are in each of the groups with those kingdoms in just kind of a nice, more presentable way. That's really where it comes down to. Now, I'll just show you these off real quick, and then we'll get to the grand finale that I cannot wait to show you. I'm getting goosebumps right now as I'm waiting for that. Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please. Probably just should have banged on the desk or something. Okay, there's quite a bit of information here. I'm going to break down everything one by one. So we have ranks. The ranks here are determined based on what I have here for top kingdoms, right? We just plugged in the rank numbers for each of the kingdoms. Remember, if you don't have a rank number, that's because you didn't have an alliance in the kingdom at 1 billion power or more. That was the threshold we set. We have the kingdoms for each group. We have the total power. We have the alliance numbers. We have the pool range, which is the range from the strongest kingdom. You can see everything's already formatted from the strongest kingdom to the lowest powered kingdom in each of the groups. The range is from the strongest powered minus the lowest powered, and that's the range. We have how many 100 mil pluses are here, and then activity levels. This is something, so there's, again, a couple new things here that we have for you today. The big number you see here is based on, if you're adding up all these numbers, the idea is if you add up all these numbers for everyone, if, again, we had all the kingdom data, this is why this is a little bit of kind of take it with a grain of sand, because the idea would be that if the numbers are all around the same, then all of the groups are pretty balanced. If the number's a little bit lower, then that means that that group could be a little bit stronger. If the number's higher, it means the group could be a little bit lower powered, right? And I'll give you an example. You see a higher number, but a lower overall power for the group. A lower number here, but a higher overall power for the group. Again, it's not always going to be a 1-to-1 ratio, but that's how it should work. However, let's continue. So we're going to show you each of the groups, and then we're going to come back through and show you some good stuff, right? Where we can kind of look at a little bit more of the data specifically. So we'll kind of give you a run through here. And then I got something at the bottom to show you, which is going to be pretty cool. So here is something where if you want to look at the top groups, the groups that have the most power, right? And bear in mind, this isn't an exact, but it is a rough estimate on which groups are going to have the most amount of power, which means which groups are we probably going to be trying to look at first before we maybe get to other groups depending. So you can see here, right, the group with 7, 43, 61, 62, 68, 69, 81, 90, right at 77, 23, 29, 30, 34, 57, 58, 77, 82, 88. And then probably the other one, which would be this group at 72, where you got three groups at above 70 billion power, is 5, 24, 25, 40, 42, 75, 86, 87, 89. Now, let's go and look at just, again, giving you a little bit of deep dive data here. So, again, everything is ordered. So you can see in this group, 83 and 1 are the top two kingdoms going here. You have a range of 11.37 billion power here, right? For remarks, the group that has the lowest, I think, was the one there at 6. Just double checking. It is. So this group has the lowest. That's 6 billion, 6.1. 11.7 to 5.6, right? This is a closer balanced group, similarly to that 8, wherever we saw that 8 was at. This 8.2, right? 10 to 2. Still a pretty wide range when you look at, because the numbers are lower, but these are the closest groups, with the biggest ones, I think, was that 17 that we just right there. Let's just double check here. It is. So this is the widest group at 20 all the way to 3. And again, these are things that we've seen before, where the approach usually is like, oh, let's put some really strong kingdoms, some kind of middle of the road kingdoms, and then some lower powered kingdoms together. Honestly, the better approach would just be, in my opinion, to do it where you're putting the strong kingdoms together, right? So an example would be, and I'm not saying maybe you do this every time, or maybe you do, right? Maybe you would put these ones, right? So if you need 8 or 9 kingdoms, why not put 43 through 76? I mean, you have about a 6 billion difference here, right, in power, and then you put the next ones, right, which, let's say if it's 8, what am I at, 4, 8, look, now you have a 1 billion difference, right? That's a lot more competitive of a KvK you're going to get, and it's also going to sustain a lot longer. Keeping in mind, with things like migration, the groups are going to change. It's not as though you're going to see every single person in every single KvK going forward, right? Just to give some thoughts out there, because there really is two ways to approach it, right? You either pair everyone up based on power, top down, easy enough, 1, 8, 9, 16, 17, 24, or you do it the way they're doing it now, which is you do some high-powered, some middles, and then some lows. Again, I am not of that opinion, because I just think that it's a lot more detrimental. I think it's more of a net negative than if you do it the simple way of where you do 1 through 8 and understand that things are going to change, and just be okay with that. I believe that is a better net positive overall than doing it the way it's being done now. That's my opinion. I, of course, would love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Now, the thing I really like is we did how many players you could see here, right? When you look at 88, 83, 1, they have 600 mil plus players, 4. You even have a nice little 2 from 63 here. You can also see that these kingdoms, when you check their kingdom status for migration or activity status, they're full, right? This kind of lines up with the data, right? Kind of complementing each other. Then we get to the next group here is you got 45 and 85 at the top. right? You could see 4 crowded kingdoms and 5 normals. I guess that actually is somewhat okay. Here you got 2 fulls, right? 3 actives and 4 normals. Here you got a lot, right? You have quite a few 100 mil plus players. The top 2 kingdoms at 9, but then you have 13 that's spread between 51 and 32. So it's interesting there. Then we get to the next group. At the 10.9 mil range gap, you have 2 crowdeds, 4 actives, 3 normals. You have 1 at the top 2, but these are all pretty close if you're looking at all of these, right? All pretty close here. With 1, however, 47 having 900 mil plus players, right? So probably having a little bit of an edge. Then we get to the next group is 4 and 31 at the top and 11 and 10 billion power respectively. You got 5 actives, 3 normals. Again, you have 3 out of these kingdoms within this group with at least 100 mil player plus or more. 27 with 3, 52 with 2. We get to the next one here, which is where we're seeing 42 and 87 at the top of the boards, 19 and 16 billion power respectively. One's full, one's crowded. And again, bear in mind, I think the reason why is because if we went deeper down throughout the entire kingdom, they have to be factoring in more players and other alliances, which is why you're seeing this full and this crowded, because again, we didn't, because there's some alliances at the time of capturing that are probably under a billion, even if they're close to that, that could be making up for that activity difference there. And also because it is a little bit of a smaller, not a threshold, but it's a smaller sample size because we didn't go deep, right, beyond a billion power. So you see 42 with 3 and 87 has 5. Then we go to the next group, 20, 16, right? So again, pretty close here, right around 3 billion, but then you got the 20 bill range with 43. 3 full kingdoms, a crowded and 4 normals. You have quite a bit. I think this kingdom, again, with 77 has the most amount of 100 mil plus players, right? What is this? 18, 24, 29, almost 30 100 mil plus players. But you got 9 and 43, 9 and 68, 6 and 5 and 90 and 81, right? So that's going to be a doozy. Then we got the next one here, which is where we're seeing 46 and 36 at the top. All pretty close, right? When you think 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, pretty close. These are really close, about 500 mil difference, give or take. And then you got 2 crowdeds, 3 actives, 4 normals, 2 100 mil plus players for 46, 4 for 36, 7 for 70, and 6 for 53. Then we get to one of the last 2 groups here, as we get close to rounding this out. You have the top 2 kingdoms, 72 and 76, 14 bill, again, about 500 mil respectively difference there, again, based on the numbers. You got 2 fulls, 2 actives, 5 normals, 1 T5 and 72, 3 and 76, but then you have 1 in 50, 4 and 49, and then 1 in 78. And then we get to the last group here, which is seeing 88 and 30 at the 2 top kingdoms on the boards, 4 crowded, 5 normal. You have 6 100 mil plus players in 88, 8 in 30, 1 in 57, and 5 in 29. And fam, listen, that is going to round it out. This has been... Again, I love doing this. I hope that, and for me, again, I always hope that players enjoy these deep data dives. And, this is a big part of the type of content that I like to produce outside of the other areas that I'm also passionate about. But if anything, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you loved some of the new areas that we looked at. And if you have ideas on other columns or other data points or sets that we can include the next time we do KvK group datas, or group previews, I should say, let me know in the comments. I also would love to know, what is your favorite part about the data? What surprised you? What shocked you? What were you just honestly excited to see? Let me know down there too as well. That is going to do it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.